tremendous program today. The fantastic IQ Wow Rizzoli joins us from Europe. We also have the amazing Dan Perkins, or as some guest bookers have referred to him, the most dangerous man in radio. Which, I'll tell you, the shirt that Dan is wearing today, I don't know how less dangerous you can be in that golf shirt. And we have got a great guest with us today. John, go ahead and give us a brief introduction on yourself, my friend. Tell us a little about yourself.
I lost you there. My name's John Sapienti. I own a company, Volition America, and I'm happy to be here today with all of you.
So, John, tell us a little bit about what you do, because I know that Dan and IQ will have some questions for you, my friend.
Well, my day job for the audience is I own a couple manufacturing companies. So I make automotive parts and medical devices. And about 10 years ago, I got involved in a charity called Folds On, which is a scholarship for the severely injured military and first responder families. And the founder of that charity had an idea to start a business called Volition America, which is Volition's a power of choice, so choosing America. And it's a patriotic brand that gives back to the fallen soldiers. So I started that in 2016, and here we are today.
And that is, by the way, one of the big reasons why I'm having John on today is because Dan Perkins did sort of the exact same thing about 10 years ago with Songs and Stories for Soldiers. So I figured this would be an excellent, as they say in the business world, synergy. So, so John, tell us a little bit about this organization and everything.
Well, Folds of Honor is actually it's a remarkable charity. It's when I got involved, it was 2013. It started in 2007. To date, they've given $220 million and 44,000 scholarships to the families of the fallen heroes. The whole thing really is about no one left behind. So taking the sacrifices of these great people and giving these families hope. And so I got involved. Funny, because I was one of these people that overlooked the military and what they did for us. And I ended up at a charity event and was blown away when I met the military and their families. And it really was my patriotic awakening. So what I spent the last 13 to 16 was really just being a donor and a supporter of Folds of Honor. And then the idea came from Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney about what Volition is and what the brand we could create.
Fantastic. So Dan, jump in there, my friend.
Yes, sir.
I know you've probably got some questions for John and everything.
Yes. So what do you do for the veteran? And is this veteran been severely injured?
Severely injured or fallen. And basically Folds of Honor, which I don't operate in, I'm still a donor. So the Volition America brand is really we sell clothing, and a percentage of everything we sell goes back to Folds of Honor. The charity itself gives scholarships to the families, not just children, but the whole family, sometimes spouses of those severely injured or fallen heroes.
I had worked with the Folds of Honor back in New Jersey. I live in Florida now.
Okay.
They had golf tournaments at the various private country clubs around, actually earlier than Veterans Day because it gets cold up there. It was a great, we raised a lot of money over the years. Are we having, I know this is going to sound really strange, are we having trouble finding injured soldiers?
No, what they're seeing on their end is that they're leaving unfunded scholarships because they don't have enough money. So there's plenty of recipients. They did expand outside of the military and go to first responders as well. But I think they gave, I don't know the numbers, excuse me, because I don't work there, but I think it was 5,000 or 6,000 scholarships left unfunded last year. They just, the more money we can raise, obviously, not only can they fill the need, they can also go probably outside of even what they're doing now.
So, but are you seeing first responders being more responding to what your organization can do versus wounded soldiers?
I don't know if it's more one or the other. I think the families are left with this crippling effect, right? So after this person's doing all these great things and sacrificing and potentially sacrificing their lives, and we all benefit from it, and then these families are left holding the bag trying to recover when something tragic happens. And what Folds of Honor does is it really comes in and helps the families get back on their feet. So not only, I mentioned it earlier, they don't always educate the kids. Sometimes it's getting the mother a degree in a certain field to help her support her family. So it's been a really neat thing to meet the families and hear the stories. And it's almost a 20-year-old organization now. So you're seeing the kids now that were really young now coming out of colleges and great degrees and talk about how, they lost their parent or their father, and then all of a sudden now they've got hope. They're college educated, and it's pretty remarkable. Colonel Dan's quite a remarkable guy, what he's built.
We, my wife and I started Songs and Stories for Soldiers, actually based on a mission from the Lord, who told us we needed to do this. And our foundation deals with traumatic brain injury, post-traumatic stress disorder, and sleep deprivation and suicide prevention. We're in 135 facilities across the country, and we've given away about 23,000 of our MP3 players to veterans and to their families. It's sad for me to report that when we started Songs and Stories now almost 12 years ago, the suicide rate hasn't changed in 12 years.
Wow.
It's probably gone up some. But so do you provide any medical services for the families?
It's a scholarship foundation. That's what it does. It's really educating the legacy is what the idea behind it is.
And what about counseling?
It's all education. What they typically do is partner with other charities to offer multiple things. So what you're talking about probably would align with their recipients to be able to do more than one thing, and that would be really cool. So they have other partners. I know they were doing some K9 PTSD stuff in conjunction with the recipients and charity with the scholarships.
Yeah, we've found over the years that one of the most difficult challenges, and it doesn't get a lot of discussion at all, hasn't, even with us trying very hard, is sleep deprivation. And the problem with sleep deprivation is you lose your ability to make informed decisions because you are so exhausted because you haven't slept in days or only got a minimum amount of sleep. You tend to make bad decisions. And the doctors tell us that a sleep-deprived adult or child will make bad decisions, and they may make a bad decision that takes their life. So we find that the sleep deprivation is an important issue, because if you're getting a scholarship, but you're dealing with stress from PTSD of a loss of a parent or both parents or whatever, and you can't focus, the scholarship won't get you through school if you can't focus. So I would love, off the air sometime in the near future, have a conversation with you and see if there's a way that our two foundations can work together to deal with these problems, because they haven't gone away. And we have a history in our country that from the time of the Revolutionary War, our treatment of veterans has been an abomination.
I agree.
They had to go fight the battles against the enemy, but then had to come back and fight Congress in order to get what they were entitled to in terms of benefits. And it's still the same thing today in our country. So I would love to chat with you offline.
That was one of the things that drew me to this back in 2013 when I got introduced to Folds of Honor. Was I had no idea how poorly we take care of our veterans after they come home. And that was eye-opening to me. And I tell people this all the time, is everybody has a cause. My mom had lung cancer or Alzheimer's or whatever, and then they get rally around it. We're all living under this blanket of freedom. How are we not all rallying around the troops? Because it affects every single one of us. So that day for me, it was Memorial Day 2013. I went, holy cow, I'm all in. So yeah, I'd like to introduce you to Colonel Rooney. He's an amazing guy. You talked about the faith-based side of this. he tells a story in 2007. He was on an airplane, and he had a flag-draped coffin come off the plane. And there was a young 3-year-old kid at the end of the tarmac watching his dad come off in a coffin. And he said he felt the hand of God come down on his shoulder and say, "This is your calling." And that was his day that he started this. And it's unbelievable what he's built. But we had a golf tournament Friday, and we had Kid Rock, Ken Griffey, all these celebrities there supporting us. It was remarkable.
I will never forget. I live in Southwest Florida, and I was going over to meet a 4-star general who was interested in the early stages of our foundation. And got in my car on a Tuesday morning at 10:30 to drive to Miami Beach. I don't know whether you know about Southern Florida, but Interstate 75 goes across the southern part of the state. It's called Alligator Alley.
Right.
I've been in the car about 25 minutes, and the car stopped. I couldn't see. I was in a sweat. I couldn't hear anything, and I thought I was having a heart attack. And I couldn't call my wife because the phone didn't work. And about 15 minutes later, everything cleared up, except that I had this message in my brain that the Lord said, "You got to take care of my soldiers." That's all he said. He didn't tell me how. He just said, "Go take care of them." And we started, and we had all kinds of roadblocks to get started, but we were tenacious, and we started. And some of the most fascinating and encouraging and stimulating conversations I've had over the last 12 years have been veterans in VA hospitals.
Yep.
And they're starved. They're literally starved for people like me and you and Jim to go and just sit and talk with them. It's amazing how just a little bit of conversation, about a little bit of care. So I agree with you. We have to be more focused on taking care of the needs of the people who are taking care of us.
Well, I've been involved now for 11 years. It's hard to believe. 10 years, going on 11. And I spent a bunch of time this weekend with the military celebrating Veterans Day down at Lake Nona. And, they all thank me, and they're, "Joe, it's amazing what you're doing." And I get more out of what I'm doing than what I feel like I'm giving back. I mean, they help me at levels that I never even knew. So it's super rewarding to be a part of it. And it's humbling in a way that much different than a business. Now we're, the Volition America side, we're building a business, but it's a really unique feeling, different than my other businesses, because I feel like I'm giving back in a way, or changing, or trying to change our country a little bit. So it's pretty neat. It's pretty humbling to be involved in this.
Do you do any work with tunnels and towers?
No, Folds of Honor. This was started, basically what motivated me to start it was Colonel Rooney's idea. Volition America, obviously Volition and Power Choices, choose America. So everything we sell is a patriotic kind of product that tries to unite people through choosing America and celebrating our similarities, not our differences. And then a percentage of what we sell goes back to Folds of Honor. So this was all basically motivated, as my goal was to be the largest corporate donor to Folds of Honor when the business is built. And right now Budweiser gives $5 to $7 million a year back to Folds of Honor. So I got a long way to go. But that was kind of what started this, was that I wanted to build a corporate entity that could take Folds of Honor somewhere that it couldn't go. So if you look above my head, you can see our logo. It's hard to see probably a little bit, but it's the folded flag with wings on it. So it's the Folds of Honor logo with wings on it. And the idea is I'm trying to pick it up and take it places it couldn't go. So every time we partner with a large brand, we're bringing awareness to Folds of Honor and bringing them a new audience. So that's what we're doing.
So I'm not asking you to put you on the spot. I'm just curious: is can we promote some of your product on our nonprofit website for you?
Sure, absolutely. We'd love that. So we're all about awareness and bringing communities together. So the more people we can bring into the fold. But I mean, what we did, it's a really unique business model, and I can't take credit for it from an IQ level. I take credit from it from a laziness or time availability. So Dan had this idea, as I told you, is choosing America. And Dan's I didn't mention this, but he's a golf pro turned fighter pilot. So he had 3 tours of duty, and he calls me SAP, short for Sapient. He said, "Hey, SAP, I'd like you to start a clothing line, and I'd like jeans, a belt buckle, a T-shirt, and a hat." So he wanted the Tom Cruise outfit of Top Gun. And I started looking at how do I make clothes and how do I make jeans, and I had no idea what I was doing. And if you think about jeans from a business perspective, inventory, it's unbelievable. 30-32, 30-30, skinny jeans. And I'm like, all right, I don't know what I'm doing. So we pivoted to golf, and then I got my next whammy, which was 80% of the sales are through pro shops. So now think I got a day job. Who's driving around with a bag of polos? So I have no distribution, no manufacturing, I got a great idea. And then the aha moment came from how do I get it to market was what if we partnered and licensed the brand to large lifestyle brands? And we went and started cold calling and knocking on doors, and we met the Puma Cobra team, and they fell in love with it, and they started a Volition America golf line. And so we licensed the brand to them for golf. Since then, we've added 12 other brand partners. So now we have Luminox watches, Hook Fishing, Nomad Hunting, Marucci Baseball, Victus Baseball. And what we're really doing is licensing it, and they're taking their greatest hits. Like you can see the baseball gloves behind me, or the right above it is their water bottles too from Nalgene. They take their greatest hits and they volutionize them. And so what they're doing is bringing the audiences products they already love, but they're giving them with a message and a cause behind it. So that's the business model. That's what we did, and it's really been fun to see it just take off.
You should be proud of yourself and the
Thank you.
people that are helping you.
It's really fun. It's really rewarding. It's fun, and we got a long way to go.
I know.
It's funny because I tell people this a lot when I talk to them. When I started this, my buddy and I were walking, talking about it, and I said, you know what's going to blow me away is one day when I walk by someone and they have my shirt on that I don't know who they are. And now we're seeing that on a regular basis. It's super cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
So, IQL Rizzoli, do you have any questions for John?
Are you kidding me? What they are doing is way beyond my ability. My message is to wake the world about the danger of Islamic fundamentalism. What they are doing is trying to save and give back to the deserving men and women who sacrifice their life in defense of America, which is way beyond my ability. I wish I could continue. I mean, I am speaking with my own knowledge of Islam. By the way, instead of paying $350 million to the Palestinians to use it to build underground tunnels, should have gone to the gentleman here. $350 million can take a lot of good, but
Yeah.
wasted.
Well, okay. I guess we'll just go back to Dan. Dan, IQ is astounded by you and John. So I'll just go back to you, Dan. What else do you have here for John?
I'm not sure that I should have asked him this, but I didn't. I don't know whether IQ plays golf or not. Do you play golf, IQ?
No, that's beyond my abilities.
I think it's above everyone's ability.
So what's your next move, sir? What are you going to do?
My next move? Well, what we're doing is we got a couple of things. Is we continually add more lifestyle brands. So we partner with someone. We'll give them exclusivity to a space. So, for example, Puma got golf. We're working on all sorts of different sports in area, from tennis to cycling to pickleball to all these ideas of community. But one of the things that it's really, and you guys probably saw this, is I watched the 2021 Super Bowl. And that's when our country was going crazy and everyone hated each other and we're all storming the castle and looting and whatever. And every commercial was about uniting our country. And I thought to myself, because I've been talking about bringing people together and uniting the entire time. And in a non-political way, you can be really far left and love your country, and you can be really far right. Coming together is about making good choices and respecting each other. And I realized that using the word united is just empty words. So the only way we're going to bring people together is if we do something about it. So you're going to start seeing, like you did with the golf tournaments with Holds of Honor, more event type things that bring community together, whether it's a fishing tournament, whether it's a walk for a cause, we're going to running races, fishing tournaments. We'll get all sorts of variety of different things to try to bring community together and celebrate country. And that's what this is all about. And I think the important thing is we're not a political brand. And that's the thing that people get wrong when they think of patriotism. We just love our country and we love what we stand for and we love what these people do for us. And that's what this brand's about.
Do you find that because of the economy and tightness of money and such a huge percentage of the people living paycheck to paycheck, not having a lot of discretionary income, has that affected your fundraising?
The fundraising side is Folds of Honor, so I don't get heavily involved in it. I'm more selling product. And our product ranges from a $30 hat to a $120. Got a couple golf clubs and things at $500. I haven't seen the economy yet affect us on a retail side, but from a business side, I guess I could talk all sorts of that. I mean, as far as interest rates and how it's affecting things, and it's gotta. I mean, eventually it's gotta slow it down. I just don't understand how we keep churning with all these body blows, but we're seeing it.
And how big is your operation?
We're in 2,000 pro shops today in the golf space. We're in Dick's, we're in PGA Superstore. The fishing line rolls out next year. We're probably in just the golf space alone, we're probably doing about $10 million in retail dollars. So, I think this is something that, I'm trying to build a power brand. I don't know if you've read it before or listened to the tape, but Shoe Dog, which is Phil Knight's memoirs. And I think it's remarkable. You don't realize that, Nike does $60,000 a minute. And what's remarkable about it is hear his stories about how he started and how hard it was. And that's kind of what over the last 6 years, I look back now at all the body blows and the obstacles and the things that I've had to kind of weave and change directions. And I'd love to build something that's really stands and is around for a long, long time, that when people think of patriotic gear, they think of Volition America.
Are you married and have kids?
Yeah, I'm married 27 years. I've got 4 kids in the range of 18 to 25.
Do they ever say, Dad, why do you do this?
No, it's funny is my 2 businesses are kind of what pays the bills, but they all want to work at Volition. So I'll tell you a funny story. Every parent's nightmare. I walked into one of my kids' bedroom and there was a tattoo business card. So I looked at my son. I'm like, dude, come on. What's going on? He said, it wasn't me. It was Connor. So he sold his brother out in 12 seconds. He goes, but you're not going to be mad. You're not going to be mad. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be mad. He goes, no. He got the Volition logo tattooed on his chest because the meaning behind it and what it stands for. So then I was like, okay, pretty cool. So I think they've gotten a lot out of understanding what Volition is. Just that word alone, if as a country, if we could use that, we go a long way. And Volition's the power of choice. So what we tell people is you can be happy, sad, love, hate. Just know that the choices you make write the legacy of your life. And so I tell one of the things I did when I first started this was go home and teach my kid the word Volition. And it's really their choice how their life turns out. Instead of blaming the teacher or blaming somebody else or whatever, just know that you are driving your life and the choices you make ultimately will how it turns out. And so that's what we're trying to teach. We're trying to empower people with the power of Volition and use that as a uniter, a force multiplier for people to come together. And so, yeah, I think my kids really like the business. But I really just want to help them learn and the whole world learn what the power of Volition is.
Do any of your children work in the businesses?
Not yet. I got 4 college kids. I don't think they're ever getting out. They all would like to. We have family business rules. You go do your own thing for 5 or 10 years, and then you can maybe come here, but we'll see.
Wow. So, how strong do you feel about how bad this country is divided?
It's interesting. From one of the things I try to tune out, and I got to be careful how I say this because I'm on the media a lot, but I think people like me get on the news and say what they think, and then whoever's listening to the channel believes that to be the truth, and that divides it. So I always tell even my kids and my wife, you need to listen to all the channels and validate and make your own decisions of what's being said. So yeah, I hate the division, but I also feel like the division is 10 or 20% of people that are extreme one way or the other. And there's a big people like me in the middle that really value both conflicting ideologies. Because if you're far right and you believe everyone on the left is dumb, there's no way that's true, and vice versa.
Yeah.
There's great ideas on both sides of the aisle. We just have to come together, respect each other's opinions, and I think we'll come a long way. But yeah, it's troubling watching our country argue all the time on TV.
It just seems to me that I've seen this. I'm a lot older than you are. I'm 78 years old, and I've been through a lot, and being a veteran and everything else, and build businesses and semi-retired. I've just never seen this country so divided, and it's more hatred than division. There are people who actually, I mean, Hillary Clinton said recently that Republicans who supported Donald Trump need to go to deprogramming camps. And she wasn't joking. She believes that the Democrats have to put us in camps like we did with the Japanese in World War II.
Yeah, it's remarkable. But I think part of the reason it's so dramatized is the access to media is so prevalent compared to what it was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, think of how divided we were with Vietnam and MLK and all these things that happened during time. There was hatred, but it wasn't in your face 24/7 on social media and everything. It just compounds everything. So it was a more peaceful life. And now with the access kids have, my kids have opinions. I don't even know how they have opinions, but they're watching social and they're hearing someone talk about it at school. And so you're right. It's troubling and it's the world we live in. But again, we gotta, like, she shouldn't be making that comment, and we should be coming together as both sides that it's okay that we have people that support Trump and we have people that support Biden. It's okay.
Yeah.
Why do you care? I have some great friends that are really far right, and I have some great friends that are really far left, and we all have very intellectual conversations about what we think we should do to improve our country, but we don't hate each other.
Yeah.
America was built on that.
It's so
Yeah.
strange the way things are. Before we let you go, how do we get in touch with you on social media and the websites and contribute to everything you're doing?
Thank you. Yeah, it's great. VolitionAmerica.com is our website. The cool thing of what we did there, we built a modern marketplace with everybody's product there. And what's really neat about it is we get all the audiences from all the different lifestyle brands to come together. And so from a brand partner perspective, what's neat for them is they get all these brand audiences that they wouldn't have normally got. But we're trying to build kind of the home base for, you think patriotic gear, you go there, and that'll give you a uniform for life. So that's VolitionAmerica.com. And then our Instagram is VolitionAmerica, @VolitionAmerica. But yeah, we'd love to have the audience come, and you can get through to me with the info, just contact page.
Jim, do we have time for me to ask you one more question?
Yeah. Go ahead, my friend. Go ahead.
I haven't seen your website, and I will go to it as soon as we finish on the air. I just want to understand your business model. You have these relationships, and they build specialized products for you.
Right.
Do you sell those products off of your website, or do you drive people to your business partners to buy?
Well, so we help sell it. We don't buy the product. They pay us basically a royalty to license the product, and they sell it through all their distribution channels. And then we build the home base for also to sell everybody's together.
Okay.
So yeah, what we're seeing, which is really interesting, is we'll get someone on the site, and 30% of the people that go to buy something add another brand's products to their shopping carts. So they may go on to go add a pair of golf shoes, and next thing you know, they're buying shirts or another pair of shoes or baseball bat. It's pretty cool.
Good.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you for having me, you guys.
Well, so what is next for you?
We have our own, actually, believe it or not, we have our own product line coming out in January, which will be private label, our actual own private clothing line. It's kind of like a workout gear, shorts, tees, vests, sweats, joggers. So we'll start selling our own brand. I did it backwards. Most people start a brand, and then when they get traction, then they do collaborations. We did collaborations, and then we're going to roll out to an audience our own stuff. So my thought was, if we could partner with these big brands, we could build an audience much faster than trying to build a product and years of slowly building a brand.
Terrific.
That is fantastic. Well,
Just,
John,
for them, it's really interesting because it gives them a very unique storytelling thing to add to their brand, and they get a ton of goodwill and brand new customers because it's giving them a new story.
Yep.
well, John, you are amazing. Thank you for making as much time as you did for us, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Appreciate
bet.
it. There he
Thank
goes. John joins us today here in our program. So, so Dan, what did you think of our guest?
Interesting business model. As I said, I had been involved with Folds of Honor back when we lived in New Jersey, when I belonged to a private club, and I heard about it, and I went to the pro, and he wasn't really interested in it. And then I said, "Look, I'm a veteran. There's probably a lot of veterans on this golf club. Let's try it 1 year and see what happens." And then we raised, for an initial time, a good amount of money, and I joined an additional club in New Jersey,